Hey there everybody, I'm back here with Coach Ant and we're going to be going through the next step of passing half guard, which is going to be stabilizing the half guard position, controlling your opponent's head and shoulders, and extracting your knee. Okay, and in reality there's actually going to be two parts of this video where we talk about stabilizing the half guard. So really the way it's going to go is stabilizing half guard, controlling your opponent's head and shoulders, stabilizing that new position now that we have head and shoulders under our control, and now that we have the position stabilized, extracting the knee. Okay, so those are going to be the four parts of the video. The first part we're going to go through is once we've gotten our way and forced our way into the half guard position, how do we stabilize the position and stop his defenses? Remember that from the half guard position, it can be both a great sweeping position for the bottom person and also be a great passing position for the top person. So whether or not we can use this position effectively to pass will come down to how effective are we at shutting down his defenses and his escapes. How effective are we at stabilizing the top half guard position, and can we get to and control his head? So let's look at stabilizing the initial half guard position. So Ant is going to lay down. Put your head toward the camera. We saw last week ways to force the half guard. For instance, we could use an inside knee pin, and I come in and I force the half guard here. Now, Ant has a number of different options for defending half guard, okay? For example, he could elbow escape on this side. So he wants to get his elbow inside my knee and bring his knee and elbow together. So the way that I stop this, on this side, is I keep my knee really tight into the hip inside the elbow, or if possible, I even take my knee up his body into the armpit. So my foot is down here by the hip, my knee's up here by the armpit, so now when Ant goes to elbow escape, it's really hard for me to get that right elbow in the inside position. If I can't get my knee all the way to the armpit, I'll stay down here at the hip, so when Ant goes to elbow escape, it's not easy for him to get his elbow, and I'm really blading and turning my knee into the hip. Yeah. So that's stopping my opponent's underhook. We have to stop his ability to shrimp out. Here. If he gets his elbow inside, and if he can move his hips, he can elbow escape and bring his knee free. Back. So to stop him from doing that, I like to place my elbow as a wedge on the floor outside the far hip. So now when Ant goes to move his hips, it's not easy. When he goes to shrimp and move them away, it's pretty difficult. Okay. So we have a tight knee here. We have this. Another thing we want to do is we want to keep Ant flat. So as Ant fights to get onto his side, go ahead. I want to perform what I call a center line shift, not on the elbow, just on your side. Yep. I want to do what's called the center line shift, where I want to shift my body across the center line. So Ant being on his side, I shift myself across the center line, and I flatten his top hip. So Ant wants to be on his side, go ahead. And I'm going to keep that top hip flat so he can't get on his side. So I keep him stuck flat on his back where he's more or less ineffective. Okay. The knee lever was another thing. We talked about here, if I keep my knee on the floor and Ant takes his 2 feet, plants them just outside my knees, lifts his hips and uses his knees to drag my hip outside, he can roll me over with a knee lever. In order for a knee lever to be effective, my hip has to get dragged outside of my knee. So from this position, I'm going to jump my knee out far for base, driving across, and I'm going to keep my hip on this side of my knee. If Ant wants to hit a knee lever, my hips need to go on this side of my knee. So I'm going to make sure my knee stays out. I keep my elbow down here as a wedge. I use my hand as a base, so when Ant goes to knee lever me, my hand here is a base on the floor. My knee here is a base on the floor. My left elbow is still pinching in tight to the ribs and hips, so when he goes to elbow escape on the near side, it's not easy for him. And I keep him flat walking across the center line. And this is our general starting position, trying to shut down all of his options. If Ant were to pummel in an underhook here, another common defense, I cross bicep post, and I repummel. I never give him his underhook. All right, so these are some things that we want to think about when it comes time to stabilize the half guard. We want to stop his elbow escape by keeping this knee on the far side tight. So you can't get the elbow inside, either down by the hip or even better, if I can take it up by the armpit. I want to keep my elbow wedged on the far side of the hip so you can't shift out. I want to keep my knee and my hand out wide at the base of the full time. There's a base on the far side that goes to knee lever. You can't. Keep a good solid position here. If Ant pummels in an underhook, we cross bicep post and re-pummel. So we're taking away everything from Ant and forcing our half guard. The next part of half guard passing, once we've stabilized this position and shut down all of his defenses, is to launch a control on his head and shoulders. This is primarily done through using a crossface. We have a lot of different variations of crossfaces. Let's go through some of them and how to set them. So from this position, I want to get to the head and shoulders. I can't just reach up for the head. Ant takes an inside bicep tie and he stops me from getting to the head. So what I do is, with that inside bicep tie, I'm going to pummel my hand in by my hip, take my hand down my leg, and I get into an inside bicep tie on Ant. Now when Ant tries to control my arm, he can't because I have the inside position. From here I can begin to slide my body up chest to chest, getting my arm underneath of his head to set the crossface. So that's actually getting up to the head. Is I have to get inside position, control the arm with an inside bicep tie, come up and control the head. Now, let's talk about setting a crossface. There's a lot of different ways to do this. The first one we're going to talk about is just the standard, most basic one, and the one I utilize most often. And this is called a lat crossface. For a lat crossface, I'm going to take my left middle finger into his armpit, and I'm going to grab his lat muscle, or my left index finger or my middle finger. I use both once in a while. But the idea is I'm going to grab the hunk of meat, the muscle behind his ribs here. Now from here, I'm going to use this grip here to start to pull his head into me. And notice I went elbow deep with my left arm. I'm not here. A lot of people will grab like this for a crossface. They'll grab the head and try to turn. This is just not very effective. I want to go elbow deep. I'm going to use my elbow to wedge the neck. Elbow deep. My left hand grabs his lat muscle and I pull everything in. Now, to set a good crossface, I want to put my weight over my hand. My left shoulder is going to lean forward until my weight goes over my own hand and into his into this far shoulder. I want to flatten that shoulder out. So from here, this is not a good crossface because Ant can easily turn and look to the right. So what I want to do with a crossface, I want to set my shoulder and my bicep on his jawline. My left shoulder goes over my own hand until my hand gets very heavy. Now when Ant looks to his right, it's really hard for him to look to his right. So that's how we set a crossface. The standard crossface, again, we have to put our weight over our own hand. That's the trick. I put my hand underneath the lat, and then I put my body weight over my own hand. Here. Now we can strengthen this with something called a lapel crossface. So oftentimes this standard crossface, understand this needs to be combined with an underhook. My right arm is an underhook. In a lapel crossface, I feed his lapel to my right hand. And now once again I can put my weight over the hand. Now, if Ant tries to turn into me or use this underhook in any way, even if I give him an underhook, he can't use it because this lapel strap is keeping his shoulder down. When he tries to turn into me, that shoulder is stuck to the mat. So a lapel crossface is an incredibly powerful crossface. It's probably the strongest one there is. It's reinforced by the lapel, by the jacket, and I'm doing with one arm what normally takes two arms to do. Normally I need to keep a crossface with my left and an underhook with my right. In a lapel crossface, the lapel functions like an underhook. So I basically have a crossface and an underhook with just a single arm. Okay, so that's the benefit and the power of the lapel crossface. There's a scapula crossface. From in here, I reach, maybe I can't get the armpit, but I just grab anywhere on the back of the shoulder. I just grab the gi. Now with this gi grip, I pull in, I once again put weight into my hand, and we have a good crossface set. Now, there are other forms of crossface, you can't always get them. For instance, sometimes there's a belt crossface. If I can reach and grab my opponent's belt with my crossface arm, that also makes an incredibly powerful crossface effect. Okay, so we have standard forms of the crossface. We have lapel variations. We have scapula grip. We have belt crossfaces. There's a number of them. All of them have the same idea in mind, in that we grab our opponent's head elbow deep, and then we put the weight of our shoulder over our own hand. Okay? So that's setting a crossface. Now, let's talk about setting an underhook. Closely related, a little different. So the crossface controls the head. The underhook helps us control the elbows and the shoulders. So I can either get an underhook here with my right arm, and I can either keep an open underhook where I just bring my hand to my own chin, or my chin to my own hand. Now an ankle is to pummel his left hand back in. No space. If my head is away from my hand, he can start to pummel that frame in. So I bring my chin to my hands. Ankle is to pummel his arm in, and it's not easy. Alternatively, we could use a top head and arm grip. Okay, where I'm wrapped around the head and one arm, and I've set closed wedges by grabbing my own hands. Now, this does take away some stability. If I take this arm in and I grab my own hand, if Ant can knee lever and bridge to his left-hand side, he can take me over this arm. So it's very important that if I'm going to use a top head and arm, I flare my elbows apart from each other. Now I have a wider base. My elbow has become a base of support. Not only that, but I also put my head on the floor. My forehead. Now when Ant goes to knee lever or take me over, hard as you can, it's really hard, and I'm not even putting shoulder pressure down yet. That's without crossface pressure. So we use, again, our wide elbows and our forehead post. Don't use the top of your head. If you use the top of your head, you're more likely to roll. So I look forward and I use my forehead here. So my nose is actually on the floor. My face, the bridge of my nose is sitting on the floor because I'm facing with my forehead, just like so, not the top of my head. Another underhook we can use is a near side underhook. I'm in here, I can take my left arm not as a crossface, but as a near side underhook. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, doesn't that take away the crossface? Yes, it does. So we use a tool that we call a cranial crossface, where I use my own head as a crossface. So we usually use our cranial crossface on the opposite side of our underhook. So if I am focused on a left underhook, I will usually apply my cranial crossface to the far side. I'll put my head on the floor. I might even use my head to pinch inward and control Ant's head. Now when Ant goes to move his head and shoulders, it's very hard, and I can look to pass the guard from there. We can also use a cranial crossface with the standard underhook, the far side. Let's say I come up over here, and I set my normal controls. I have a far side underhook. Now let's say I did a bad job with my left knee. Okay, you guys can see my left knee is wide, and I feel Ant starting to threaten an elbow escape there. So I need to use my left hand to take care of the elbow escape, but if I do that, I let go of the head. And now all things are going bad because I'm getting less and less control. So what I would do, here I feel that elbow, I use my head as a cranial crossface. So now as Ant goes to elbow escape, my left arm is now free to take his elbow out, and now I can start looking to pass the half guard from here. So that's our near side underhook, combined with a cranial crossface. So we've seen how to stabilize the standard half guard position. We've seen how to control our opponent's head and shoulders with crossfaces and underhooks. Now let's see how to stabilize the position once we've gotten our opponent's head under our control. All right. My apologies again, this isn't going to be the most pleasant.
That's all right.
Bring your seat this way and that way. So once I've gotten in a forced half guard, I come up and I control my opponent's head and shoulders. Do you remember what Ant's tools are from the bottom half? Well, he has an elbow escape on the near side. Go ahead. We can recover and get me back in guard. He has a knee lever on the other side, where he can take me and roll me the other way. And then if my knee is too tight and he can't elbow escape, he has a bridge to his right to get me to base, and now he can escape. Okay. Another thing he might do is he might get an underhook on me. And now he can come up to his side, and he can start escaping the half guard. So a number of things can go wrong even though I have the head control. So I'm going to shut down all of his escapes using different elements, different mechanics. So first and foremost, if he's trying to elbow escape with his right elbow, I want my knee, my left knee, into the pocket of the hip. So look at how I take my left knee tight to the hip, and I cock my foot back this way. Now when I go to elbow escape, my right knee is so heavy. It can be further made worse when ankles to elbow escape and I apply a trigliding crossface pressure. You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna try to not do this over and over and over to Ant, so he's not completely miserable here. But understand that a good strong crossface is an important part of half guard passing. When I set this crossface, and again I feel Ant trying to elbow escape, I take my knee in and I put weight into my left shoulder, my left hand to pin his head and shoulders. Okay, now to be nice, I'm keeping my weight on my elbows, so there's no weight on Ant, but understand that all my weight would be going down into my shoulder if I was really doing this. So that's how we deal with the elbow escape. Good crossface, and we blade our knee inward to the hip. The knee lever. If my knee is on the floor, Ant can hit a knee lever. Good. So I'm going to take my knee off the floor. So as I blade my left knee into the hip to stop the elbow escape, my right knee comes off the floor. This also facilitates my tripod. I can start the tripod and put more and more weight down into Ant, into the crossface. Okay? Now with my right knee off the floor, the knee lever is very, very difficult. With my left knee bladed into the hip, the elbow escape is very, very difficult. Okay? If Ant tries to pull in an underhook and come up on his side, he has to get up on his right side to be effective. So if I feel this kind of thing, where he gets an underhook, I'm going to shift across the center line, keeping all that heavy pressure on the crossface. So now when Ant tries to come up into the underhook, his body's completely facing the wrong way and there's way too much pressure. So my left knee is in to his hip, stopping the elbow escape. My right knee is off the floor to stop the knee lever. I walk my body across his center line, so when he tries to use his left underhook, it's useless. Okay, so we've used this fundamental passing position to completely shut down his escape attempts. So understand, we have a fundamental gripping position here, where I lock him down, I stabilize the position, and then from this position, I go on the attack with grips, with upper body grips. Once I have my grip set and my crossface set, then we go up into our fundamental passing position. And then it's from this position that I do my guard passing. Okay? So we've seen how to stabilize the half guard. We've seen how to control the head and shoulders with crossfaces and underhooks. Then we've seen how to stabilize that position once we have head control. The last thing we're going to cover this week is extracting our knee. Now we have two general ways to do this. When I extract my knee, I can use either my free arm to do it, or I can use my free leg to do it. Let's talk about using our free leg first, and then we'll talk about using our free arm, okay? And I'm gonna have your feet this way. So I force half guard. I get to my fundamental gripping position to stabilize the position. From my fundamental gripping position, I go up and I launch control in the head and I set a cross face. Once I set the cross face, I go into my fundamental passing position to take away all of Ant's defensive options. And now from here, we're going to extract the knee. So one of the first things we can do by using our free leg is a butterfly hook. So as I go in, I put pressure on. I'm going to take my left foot up, and I'm going to pummel it in as a butterfly hook. Now from here, I'm going to use this butterfly hook to start prying my right knee free, so I can go through and pass the guard and extract my knee. Again, that was a butterfly hook. You can either use it with your shoelaces inside, like so, or my shoelaces could be outside where I just hook over the knee. That's fine too. Either foot inside or foot outside, doesn't really matter. So Ant locks in that half guard. I come up, I tripod, I butterfly hook, I extract my knee, and now I pass the half guard. Another option, this one works better when he really clamps down my leg. Make a tight triangle. Right foot behind your left, yep. And now I try to put my butterfly hook in, and I'm trying to free it, it's just not working, it's too tight. From here we use a leg press method or a ball of the foot method, where he's got a good tight grip on my leg. I'm going to take the ball of my foot, I'm going to wiggle it in until I get the ball of my foot to his calf muscle. So now as Ant holds on as tight as he can, my goal is going to be to extend and push this leg straight. So Ant's going to lock in his 3 or 4, nice and tight, Ant. And I'm going to push that calf muscle straight. And that's also going to take my leg free. So we have either the shoelace method, where I use my shoelaces to pry my knee free, or we have the ball of the foot method, where I get the ball of my foot in there, and then I stretch him, I extend, I hit a leg press with the ball of my foot to take his knees apart. So that's using the free leg. Then we have options where we use the free arm as either a hand post or an elbow post. Around. We force half guard. We come into our fundamental gripping position. From our gripping position, we come up and control the head and shoulders. From the head and shoulders, we go up into our fundamental passing position. Then from our fundamental passing position, we have to free our leg. We saw I can either use my free leg, my left leg, or I can use my right hand. Now from here, one of my favorite ways to use this, lock up above my knee, is to take my head to the floor and hit a center line shift. And I go just like this. So now Ant's knees and everything is facing out to his left. From here, I take my hand inside his knee, I hop my knee over, and we end up in 3/4 mount. Then from 3/4 mount, we're going to see in the future how we can go through and we can pass from 3/4 mount. So again, using a hand post method, we come up into our fundamental passing position. My head goes to the floor as I walk across and find stability. I post inside the knee. I bring my knee through. And now we work on passing from the 3/4 mount position. And we're going to see how to do all that stuff later, next week. So that was a hand post. We can also use an elbow post method. I get to my fundamental gripping position. I come up controlling the head and shoulders. I go to my fundamental passing position. Now from here, maybe I'm having a tough time walking across the center line. Okay, I'm trying to walk across and I can't get the knees to face away. It's risky to reach back and use my hand here, because Ant can use his right arm to reach around my body, grab my arm, and now this is a real predicament, okay? This looks okay because you're on top. This is actually really tricky to get out of. So we don't want to get our hand caught by Ant's hand. When I'm over here, it's safe to put my hand on the knee. When Ant goes to reach my arm, it's not quite as easy to reach. But from here, he can get a good strong grip there. So when I'm using this position as my passing position, I'll use my hand in the pocket of the hip, and I'll use my elbow. Good strong grip here. Lock your legs. I'll use my elbow to wedge or pry his knee, or push his knee down to pry my knee free. I'll take my knee to the floor, and then once again, we just have to extract our ankle to pass. Okay, so that was we've seen the hand post, and we've seen the elbow post. There is another way we can use our hand, and by using our other hand. So we've seen that when I'm here, I can come here with a cross face. And now if Ant's elbow escape is becoming a threat, I can use a cranial crossface here, and I can go up into a tripod. So now as Ant tries to escape or elbow escape, it's hard for him to do anything, and I can use my left hand, clamp with my legs, I can now use my left hand to push and free my knee and sit through. So that's another way to use a free arm. So we've seen that we can use our free leg to extract our knee, or we can use our free arm to extract our knee. They're both very good methods. I'm going to close out this video by showing another way to extract the knee using just body movement. This isn't the strongest method, but it will work against weaker half guards, and it can be very good when combined with using a free leg or using your free arm. That's movement. Let's see some of this. Half guard, our fundamental passing position. Actually, let me go on the other side so I can talk to the camera. So I'm in here. Now another thing is, as I tripod up, maybe Ant's half guard is kind of loose. Okay, maybe he doesn't have a strong grip. So as I tripod up and he's trying to follow, sometimes I can just give a little shaking, good grip, a little bit, just little shakes will sometimes free my knee. Okay, I can just tripod and shake a little bit. As I'm here, Ant locks onto my leg, but he doesn't have a death grip. So as I tripod up, little shaking actions with my leg can bring my knee free. Oftentimes that little shimmying, shaking, and movement action with your left leg is enough to free your knee. Okay? If it's not, if he locks down really hard and I go and I can't free my knee, that's where we start using our free arm or our free leg to start extracting us from the half guard. So, that's a lot of good information for you guys. That's the next step in half guard passing. Once you've learned how to force the half guard and get your knee over their knee and get to that half guard position, your first job is to shut down your opponent's escapes. Shut down their elbow escape. Shut down their knee lever. Shut down their underhooks. Shut down their bridging, etc. We do all that with the fundamental gripping position where we stay locked in over the hips. Then from that fundamental gripping position, we will set our grips on the upper body where we make our cranial shift from the hips up to our opponent's head and shoulders. We've seen how to set a number of different cross faces: normal cross faces, lapel cross faces, scapular cross faces, belt cross faces, cranial cross faces, etc. We saw some underhooks. So we start off with the fundamental gripping position, and we use that to go in and control our opponent's head and shoulders. Once we have our opponent's head controlled with the cross face, now it's time to stabilize the position again. We go from the fundamental gripping position to the fundamental passing position. That fundamental passing position shuts down my opponent's underhooks, their elbow escapes, their knee levers, their bridges, etc. So we use that position once again to stabilize the half guard, shut down all of our opponent's options. Once all of those options are shut down and we have control of the head and they're flattened out and they're stuck, one of our last jobs is to extract our knee. There is stuff to do after that, we'll get to that in the future, but one of the last major things is to extract that knee. And we've seen we can do that either using our free arm with a hand post or an elbow post, or we can do it using our free leg, using either the shoelaces of our foot with a top butterfly hook, or using the ball of our foot to press that calf muscle away and force those legs extended. So again, once we have the head control in that tripod position where they're stuck, focus on either bringing your free arm into the game to free your knee, or bring your free leg into the game to free your knee. Then after that, sometimes once your knee comes free, you can get the pass straight away. Other times, once you free your knee, your opponent is going to latch onto your ankle. Your knee gets free, but now they clamp down on the ankle and you keep that foot free. What do you do then? Well, come to classes next week and we'll learn all about the different ways that we can extract our trapped foot. Thanks for watching, guys.